Hey, what is happening, YouTube family? Good morning to everybody. I know everybody got a chance to see the NBA tip-off last night, and everybody saw Brooklyn against Golden State as well as the Battle of LA. So happy the NBA is tipped back off. NFL is all good, but it's nothing like some good old NBA, as we all know. So anyway, let me just get right into my thoughts. Ain't no need to waste any time. I'm gonna skim right on over the Brooklyn Golden State game because it happened exactly as we thought it would. I mean, Steph Curry without Klay Thompson and without KD, it's gonna be a long season probably for the Golden State Warriors. Mind you, they were going up against one of the top teams that I think would be a top team in the NBA as well as in the East. So still early in the season, but won't focus too much on that game because what I really want to dive into, as you all know, is the Los Angeles Lakers. So I'm not one to hit the panic button, and everybody, just like last year, the Lakers lost the first game at the Clippers. Everybody said LeBron is old, blah, blah, blah. But I will say this. I love the new additions by the Lakers, but Frank Vogel definitely got his work cut out for him. He's going to have to find out the way these players mesh together in the best way to match them up against their opponents. And they'll see the Clippers plenty of times this year, so they'll get a chance to have some more fill them out games. But one thing that really, really stuck out in my mind, and I made a video to this earlier, about a week or two ago when they first acquired Dennis Schroeder, and Schroeder wanted to be a starter, and everybody said, well, no, he's not going to be the starter, but he was inserted into the starting lineup last night with Schroeder, with KCP, LeBron, AD, and Marc Gasol. And to be honest, I don't know how much I like that lineup that well. And I only say that because of this. I really feel, even though I feel Schroeder's definitely starting material, but I just don't feel like he needs to be the starting point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers, because then you relegate LeBron James to not touching the ball on every play. You relegate him to playing off of the ball, and a lot of times he is the one who sets up the offense and facilitates and gets everybody else involved. So if he's the one that's getting everybody else involved, now you take him out, and then he doesn't touch the ball until 14 or 15 seconds left into the shot clock. Now it's going to take long to facilitate a play. Now you're waiting until you're too deep into the shot clock to be able to set something up. You want to keep the defense on their heels early. So whenever LeBron James, being the 6'10" point guard that he was, he could pull up, he could come down the court, survey the court, and go ahead and get the Lakers into their half-court set, into their offense. Also on fast breaks, he has the vision to do the long touchdown passes to AD and to other players to get them going. You didn't see any of that last night with Dennis Schroeder. Now, Schroeder was effective. He was able to get into the paint. He lived in the paint last night. He was very effective getting to the hole. And him and Montrez actually worked well together. And that's why I think it would be better for him to come off the bench with him and Montrez to be that 1-2 punch and to allow LeBron James to continue to be the starter. And then Kyle Kuzma looked pretty good last night. So what I've been wanting and what I said prior to is to start LeBron at point, KCP at the 2, Kuzma at the 3, AD at the 4, and Marc Gasol at the 5. Now, it is a shame that Marc Gasol got into a lot of foul trouble last night, so you really didn't get to see Marc Gasol full potential. Now, he is 35 years old and long in the tooth, and he is no LeBron James when it comes to athleticism, but he has to play a little bit smarter. I think he did a little bit too much reaching in last night. He was a little too anxious. But like I said, it's no time to really hit the panic button because it was just one game, and there will be adjustments made. Now, I didn't think that I would actually have to say this, but I will say that Ty Lue actually outcoached Vogel last night. He actually outcoached him, and Paul George showed up last night. And if it hadn't been for Paul George and the outburst that he had late in the third quarter and early on into the fourth quarter, then I dare say the Lakers probably still would have won the game. Now, the Lakers were trailing most of the game, and I don't think they ever took a lead in the game. If my memory serves me correct, they never took a lead in the game. But what really, really blows my mind is LeBron James only played 28 minutes. Now, I understand, it's the first game of the season and they had a very short layoff, but all I remember is LeBron James went and sat down in the fourth quarter at the 8-minute mark. Now, when he went and sat down at the 8-minute mark, the Lakers was only down by 7. When he went and sat, I'm going to repeat it. When LeBron James went and sat down on the bench, the Lakers were only down by 7. Next thing you know, the flurry of PG hit you. And he hit a couple of threes, and boom, they moved it up to 10. Then it was 13. So I'm watching the game, and I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, I know LeBron, he played the end of the third quarter, so then he played throughout the first part of the fourth quarter, so you're trying to get him some rest. And I'm thinking, okay, he gonna come back in at the 5-minute mark, the 5.5-minute mark, and hopefully the lead won't be more than 7 or 8. But of course, with LeBron James on the bench, the lead ballooned out of control and went up to 13 or 14. Now at this point, it's starting to get under the 6-minute mark, and you're getting into the 5-minute. You're getting into the 5-minute mark, and I'm like, okay, at this point, why is Vogel waving the white towel? I mean, he just basically gave up and didn't even put LeBron back in because the Clippers went up by 13 or 14, which I understand maybe he thought he didn't want LeBron to, because they got to turn around and play again Christmas night, and it's been a short turnaround, and maybe he felt like some of the players needed to, get some more repetitions on the floor together to get some more continuity or whatever. But to me, once that lead ballooned out of control, then they went up by 10, 12, 13, and it was still 6.5 minutes left. I would have go ahead and inserted LeBron James back into the game. That's what I would have done. But he didn't. He let that lead balloon out of control. And then at that 4-minute mark, the Clippers were winning, I want to say, by 14 at this point. So at that 4.5-minute mark, instead of inserting LeBron James into the lineup, he takes AD out of the lineup. And he really waved a white flag. But I will say I did like the way the Lakers did not quit. Once AD sat down, they actually fought back, because I want to say that lead got up to 16 or 17 at one point. But then the young guns played, and they didn't give up, and they actually, cut it to single digits, I want to say, at 8 or 9. And at that point, you don't want to put LeBron and AD back in, because the young guns is the ones who cut it down. And plus, at that point, there's only a minute and a half, 2 minutes left, so it wouldn't have made any sense to do so. So with all that being said, I just don't really understand why Frank Vogel decided to. I mean, I do understand why he took LeBron out initially at that 7.5, 8-minute mark, for him to get a couple of minutes of rest. But as usual, LeBron James goes to the bench, and what happens? The lead spirals out of control. And that shows you the greatness of LeBron James. So you can slice it and dice it up any which way you can. Nobody really concerned. It's a long 82-game season, so nobody going to say, oh my God. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people going to be talking about Paul George back. It's like his MVP season when he was going to Nobody want to hear it, man. I mean, Paul George can have a great season, and Paul George is a great player, and I'm pretty sure he heard a lot of people talking about him. He heard the Shannon Sharps of the world. He heard all the naysayers, and probably I would. And I kind of predicted that the Lakers were going to lose anyway. I didn't get a chance to drop the video yesterday. It was a little bit hectic. But I figured the Lakers were going to lose because, first and foremost, they come out with the ring ceremony. So you come out getting your rings, having your ceremony, celebrating, talking about how you about to defend the throne. And then all of a sudden you look up, and then the Clippers are sitting over here. They watching it. You think they not watching it, whether they back in the locker room watching it or peeping through the tunnel watching it. But please believe, they watching it. So you think Ty Lue didn't say he know what it felt like to get a ring? You think Kawhi didn't say he know what it felt like to get a ring, and it's our time, and that they should have had a ring in the bubble, and let's go out here and get it, and let's prove to the world? So the Clippers played with a real big chip on their shoulder last night. Now let's be honest. How many times is it going to be to where LeBron James only going to have 22 points, and Anthony Davis is not even going to have 20? Anthony Davis, and let's be honest, it's the first game of the season, so a lot of people, you're still a little bit rusty, so you're trying to get everything, get your wind beneath your wings, so to speak, and just get your legs back and all that good stuff. So at the end of the day, like I said, there's nothing to panic about, but I do want to mention the fact that Schroeder starting may not be the best thing, because if you notice, LeBron only had, what, 5 or 6 assists? When normally, last year, he led the league in assists. So I do want to see LeBron James continue to be the point guard. I don't know if that's going to be the case because of whatever they had when they traded Schroeder, whatever his agent was told about him being a starter, which, like I will say again, he is starter material. He just doesn't need to be the starter for the Los Angeles Lakers, because then you're not using LeBron James to his full potential of what he's really capable of doing. So that's just my analysis and my thoughts for last night's game. Y'all keep on tuning in. We have some more videos throughout the day. We got a full slate of games coming on tonight, so everybody just stay tuned. Once again, this is B New. I'm saying right on to the real and death to the fakers. I'm out.